Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel DataSpeaks. In this video, we will master loops in Python, for loops and while loops. You will learn how to iterate over list, strings, dictionaries, data frame like data, use helpers like range, enumerate, zip, and write clean and efficient loops for data tasks. We will also cover break, continue, pass, nested loops, and loop else with practical data focused examples. Let's straight dive into this and let's start learning. Loop in Python lets us repeat an action over items in a collection or while a condition holds. So basically, what we are trying to do is we are trying to iterate over individual elements of a collection or trying to run a loop while certain condition holds true. We will go over for loop and while loop. We'll try to learn for loop, while loop individually, and also we'll try to include both for loop and while loop in a single statement. That helps us to understand how we can leverage both of these all together in a single statement in Python. Let's start dive into this. By its nature itself, for loop iterates over any iterable like string, list, tuples, sets, or dictionaries. Now let's take an example of a list. First of all, creating the list of 10 fruits. In that, so I'm going to create a unique 10 fruit names here. Fruits equals apple, banana, orange, grapes, mango, pineapple, strawberry, blueberry, watermelon, and peach. In this, what I'm going to do is perform for loop. For loop will automatically start from the very first fruit in the list and will assign to the variable fruit or any variable name that you want to assign. Then it executes the code inside the loop, which is just printing the fruit. After printing, it will loop back again to the very second fruit in the list, and then it repeats the process. This continues until it reaches to the last fruit in the list, and it will print each of those one by one, step by step. Let's now see the for loop in action. So I'm writing the for loop to go through the fruits. What I would like to do that is I would say for individual fruit in fruits, I will print the individual fruit, and that will give us the individual fruit in the list fruits. Let's now run the code and see the result. Here we have got apple, banana, orange, grape, mango, pineapple, strawberry, blueberry, watermelon, and peach. The same values as we have in this entire list, those have been printed one by one with the help of for loop. What for loop has said over here is go through each individual elements or individual values in the list and print them one by one. That's what we have done. For individual fruit in the list fruits, print the individual fruit, and we have got that. That's what the idea behind the for loop is. We iterate over individual elements and get the return. We can modify the print statement as we want. We'll cover that shortly, but I want to give a quick introduction about what exactly for loop does. You can additionally iterate over a string or a text value. So I will say iterate over a text value, data science using for loop. Okay, so what I want to do, I want to go character by character in data science. I want to go DATA space SCIENCE, and in that I want to print each individual character in data science. So if I run this for loop, it will give you the complete elements separate, so they are an individual line as individual value. Now they are no more together. We can keep it together, we can format it differently, but here in this case they are completely separate values with the help of for loop. So we have gone through each individual values in the words data science, and we have printed each characters in data science. That is another capability of for loop, and it can return the each individual character and element within a string as well, not only in the list. Likewise, we can do in the sets and dictionaries as well. Let's try to do for the sets, looping through a set of values with the cities in the USA. So I'm creating a set of city names here, cities, that is New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Houston, Phoenix, Philadelphia, San Antonio, San Diego, Dallas, and San Jose. I want to loop through that and get the print statement of individual city. Here, if you see city in cities, in place of city, you can put something else too. For example, just say I. That is very popular in Python. Using for the for loop, we can always use I, and this will effectively get the values printed for you. You can use anything you want here. It doesn't have to be only I, it can be J, and also you have to make this J here. Whatever name you give over here, the iterator value, you need to actually put the same value over here in the print statement, right? I will hit run and I will get the value returned. Each individual city name have been printed here now separately, so you can get those in the sets as well. So those will return you the unique values that are in those sets. You can do the same way for the dictionary as well, looping through the dictionary with the key value pairs. I have created a dictionary here called student. In that, I have name and Elise as a value, name as a key. Cities, I have two distinct cities listed here, in the cities being key and New York and Washington DC being values in the list inside the dictionary. I have hobbies here as a key, and I have a play, read, dance, sing as a value inside the dictionary. I have a age being 21, and then I have a major being data science. It's just a random value created as an example. Now I want to loop through the keys and values in this dictionary student. I can use the for loop to iterate through the entire student dictionary. And then I want to write for loop that says key and value in the student.items. That will get us the items, that is key and value pairs, from the dictionary. I will say print key and then colon here and the value. I will just run that and I will get this value printed, key and value. So name being Elise. So here key is the name, Elise is the value here for that key name. I have a cities here as a key here, key, and then I have a value here that is the list of two cities. I have a key here, hobbies. I have a value tuple here being play, read, dance, and sing. Age being 21, major being data science in the same way. So you could go through the dictionary key and values and you can extract those. Alternatively, you can also try to get for key in student.keys. You can simply print the only keys of the dictionary. You may have sometime use case of only getting the keys. You can simply print all the keys that are in the dictionary: name, hobbies, age, major, so, and the cities here. You have got the key as well. Same way, you can loop through the values in the student's dictionary. You can print those values without keys. So you have Elise, you have New York and Washington DC as the city values, and you have a play, read, dancing, you have a 21 age, you have a data science as well. You can loop through those, and we will be customizing the outputs laterwards, but for now we are trying to explore what are the different ways that you can extract or loop through the individual values within the sets, within dictionaries, within lists and tuples, so that you can extract the individual elements from them. Next, I would like to cover range for numerical loops. Let's add a code cell where I want to create a range of values between 0 and 20 and loop through each individual values and multiply them with 3. Okay, so I want to write a for loop for that. For I in range from 0 up to 21 because Python includes first, excludes last. I have mentioned that in my previous video where I was teaching the Python foundations. Please go ahead and check those video in the series. I want to go between 0 and 21, and I want to say print I multiplied by 3. And if you do that, look at these values here. The value range between 0 and 21. So starts with 0 and ends with 21. That means 21 excluded, 0 included. So 0 multiplied by 3 is going to be just 0. And 1 multiplied by 3 is going to be 3. 2 multiplied by 3 is going to be 6. 3 multiplied by 3 is going to be 9. 4 multiplied by 3 is going to be 12, and so on up to 20. 20 multiplied by 3 is going to be 60. So here what we have done here is we have gone through the entire values between 0 and 20, and then what we have done, we have multiplied each value with 3 and then printed the values. You may sometime want to go through a specific range of values, but at a specific steps. For example, you want to create range of values between 1 to 100, but with the steps of 4. In that case, what range function does, it allows you to take the very first number, then the last one, then what steps you want to take. Simply, all you are trying to do here, get the range of values between 1 to 101, because last one is excluded. That means the value until 100 only will be included. So in this value, you are trying to explore all the values between 1 to 100 with the step of 4. That means first you will be taking 1, and then next you will be taking 5, then it's going to be 9, 13, 17, and so on until 97 and 101. Let's convert this as a for loop. So what I would like to do here is I would say for I in range of 1 to 100 with the steps 4, I want to print I. If I simply hit enter, you will see the values that began with 1, here began with 1, and then it went up to 97. The reason behind this is because we have requested to have the numbers beginning with 1, ending with 101, 101 being excluded. That means the values will be included until only 100 with the step of 4. So after 97, if you go next 4, it would be 101, which is excluded. That is why last nearest close number that it can go up to is 97. That is why we have 97 as the last number as an output of this for loop. That was the basic for loop. Now let's look at how we can incorporate enumerate with the for loop. So basically, enumerate is a built-in Python function that adds a counter to iterable and returns an enumerate object. What that means is you have a list, for example, and you want to iterate over that list, and also you want the index value, index positions along with those values. Then enumerate would be really helpful to reduce any manual error, or that simplifies your code to get it effectively done when you actually need both index and the value simultaneously along with the code. Let's create the list of 10 people's name. So I'm saying names equals Elise, Bob, Charlie, David, Eve, Frank, Grace, Hannah, Ivy, and Jack. So I want to use the enumerate function with this list using for loop, and I want to do some operation. Here I would say for index and name. So here that's the power of enumerate. So it lets me use index positions beginning with index position 0 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which means here the very first value and the 10th value, because Python indexing starts from 0 and goes up to 10. Now, with the help of for loop, I want to get the index position and the name so that I can do index wise operation as needed or by the value itself. I would say print index and the name so that it will give me at what index position what value is there in the list. So if I would hit run, it will give me index position 0, I have a name Elise, index position 1, I have Bob, and same way index position 9, I have Zach. So this is one of the really great way of utilizing enumerate to get the index position and the values at that position. You can use enumerate function with the for loop on a couple of different use cases, along with checking if we have misentry or data quality issue. Suppose you are validating data for missing values or missing entry or invalid entry. You can use enumerate quickly to identify the index position so that you can solve that problem. Let's take an example real quick with a data set which contains different temperature level of the day. So I'm calling temperature and I'm giving some values here. So 23.5, 25.1, none, 27.8, negative 99, 28.4, and 30. As a human, we can definitely see this negative 99 is something unusual number there, and none is the missing temperature. Probably we may have to flag at the index level at some point and then treat them or remove them from the data because these are unusual. So I can write a for loop using enumerate to get these value plus get the index position so that I can treat it according to the index. Let's write a for loop to fix the problem. Here in this for loop, I'm writing for index and temperature in the list temperatures. So enumerate temperatures here. If the temperature, the value of temperature, any of the temperatures is none, or temperature is less than negative 10 or greater than 70, I'm just checking any unusual numbers, unusual values here in temperatures. Then I'm saying they are unusual temperatures at the index position. So that is the power of enumerate. It helps me to find out that index value for that unusual temperature that I want to highlight over here in this section. It will say unusual temperature found at the index level, whatever the index level these values are. It will try to flag those values, and then those index values would be popped out. So I have covered the pop function in my Python Foundation other videos. Please do not forget to check those in my YouTube channel. So I'm popping out those index values which are unusual. Once we have applied the cleaning for loop here, let's print out the values and see how does the updated temperature look like. First of all, we have the list of temperatures with all abnormal values, and then we applied a for loop here to clean up the value, and then now printing up the updated list of temperatures. If I run that, you'll see that here this is the updated and cleaned up temperatures. So the enumerate function with the for loop can be used to clean up the data values. You can see that none was cleaned and negative 99 was cleaned up, and we have the updated temperatures. So enumerate is this way very useful for many of the use cases in Python programming, for any use cases including software engineering, data science, and machine learning. Next, I want to introduce here a zip function with for loop. Zip function in Python combines multiple iterables like tuples or list or dictionaries all together and iterate over them as if they were single iterable. So it is useful when you have a multiple iterables at the same time you need to iterate over them at the index level. Then this is going to be the best function you may want to use it. Let's look at them with some examples. Let's create a list with a couple of people's name. And I want to create the name, and then another list I want to introduce here called ages, which is of the same count as we have over here. So I want to say Elise, Bob, Charlie, David, Eve, Frank, Grace, Hannah, Ivy, Jack, and I have their ages here 25, 30, 22, 28, 35, 40, 27, 24, 29, and 31. I want to make sure that these count of elements in this list match with the count of elements in this list over here. That's the idea behind being able to zip these two lists together, so that you can now zip them together at the index level, so that this Elise age represents 25, 30 age represents to Bob, 22 represents to Charlie, and 28 represents to David, etc. Let's zip them together and form a phrase where we can say Elise is of 25 years old, Bob is of 30 years old, etc. So we are zipping them together and we're calling name comma age, then zip names and ages. So here we are going through each names in names and each ages in ages list, and then here we'll phrase the print statement that says this person is of this year old, and so on. So let's run this line of code and see how zip is working. Look at this here. We have included this age list and names list. We have combined using zip, and we have now printed print statement that says Elise is of 25 years old, Bob is of 30 years old, Charlie is of 22 years old, etc. So it is referring to index number 012, 012. So Charlie 22. Look at this, Charlie 22. This is how zip function is really powerful, really useful in Python programming for many different purposes. This is all in the part 1 of for loop. In the next video, I will cover data-oriented for loop examples, loop control using break, continue, pass, and we will cover nested for loops and while loops. Please do not forget to check my part 2 of for loop and while loop in my channel. Until then, thank you for watching and see you in the next video.